Hello learners, welcome to our series on science and technology solved prelims PYQs. And the theme for this video is space technology. Space technology, right? So we will be starting with the questions from 2015. Now before proceeding, I would like to share how we are going to discuss things. Of course, first there will be the question, and then before giving you the solution or the answer, I would explain the concepts that are involved. We will also discuss if there are any elimination methods available to us, right? And then I will give you the answer. Finally, I have brought a value addition for you. Since I hope you have watched my mains answers, and there I used to discuss something called value addition. Value addition. Here I told you how you could beautify or enrich your answers. With regards to prelims, this was for mains, right? With regards to prelims, how can we add the value? For that, I do an exercise which is called connecting the dots. This exercise involves Googling each sentence or each keyword in the sentence of the UPSC prelims statement. And from that, I derive things that are related to the question. I will prove this to you why this is helpful, because many times the themes, let's say gravitational waves, topics like these are repeated, but the statements are not repeated. You have to derive the theme out of the statement itself, right? So we'll see all this practically, but then again, remember, it is called connecting the dots. You can also think of it as related topics. And UPSC has a habit of asking from these things, right? So let's proceed. Let's target the first question and try to understand things. So the first question in 2015 was, in which of the following activities are Indian remote sensing satellites used? Assessment of crop productivity, locating groundwater resources, mineral exploration, telecommunications, traffic studies, right? Select the correct answer using the code given below. So let us first understand the concept behind this thing. So remote means something which is not present with you at your place, which means if you are watching this video on YouTube, you are watching it remotely. If you were sitting right now in the class, that would mean you are attending it in front of me. That's not remote. So remote means having access to something while not being on the location of the thing which you are accessing. For example, cloud. Cloud networking or cloud storage is an example of remote, let's say, access of data. So remote, I hope you now understand. Sensing, this means you get to know the data, but you are not actually there, in the sense for remote sensing. So sensing means collecting data. Collection or collecting data. So when this collection of data is done by being far away from the location, it is called remote sensing, right? So it's the art and science of getting the information, acquiring the information about the Earth's surface without having any physical contact with the Earth's surface. So I hope now you understand the remote sensing satellites. So this is done by sensing, of course, and recording of reflected and emitted energy. So the most common method is photography, by which we do this. So when the sun, this is the sun, when the sun gives the energy or the radiation and it comes on the earth, three things happen. First, the rays of the sun or the radiation from the sun is directly reflected. Second is some of it is absorbed. First is directly reflected. Second, absorbed. Third, Earth radiates its own emission, right? So the satellite will now try to read these energies, and then it will try to identify which material is emitting which wavelength of radiation, right? So you can read this for your reference. I have explained this thing only right now. Okay. So if we see the different wavelengths, right? Different wavelengths are given by different things and they have different reflection. Okay. You don't need to understand this in very deep manner, because that's the beauty of preparing science and technology for UPSC, that you don't need to go into technical details. What you need to focus on is the application. So different materials, they reflect and absorb different wavelengths of electromagnetic radiation. Now this electromagnetic radiation is coming from the sun, right? So you can see different things have different wavelengths. Now according to the wavelength captured, the satellite and the processing system in it will try to determine what is it that it is looking at, right? So I hope now you understand remote sensing, how it works. Now according to ISRO, what are the satellites used for this purpose? Cartosat, ResourceSat, OceanSat, RISAT, Megha, Tropicux, Saral, ScatSat, InSat series, right? So if something comes out of these things and you are asked that if they are Indian remote sensing satellites, so yes, right? Another way, applications. Most prominent ones are groundwater prospects, urban development, right? Navic constellation, flood mapping, landside mapping, basically disaster management, right? So please go through these. These are in detail and these are from ISRO. See, the thing is, this is not a concept class, right? So what I'm trying to create, let's say I'm trying to create an awareness in your mind so that you understand how to prepare for these topics. Although I can directly tell you the answer, but that would not be adding any value to your time. So try to learn the topics in such a way, right? Now, Indian space program has two major operational systems. The first one is the Indian National Satellite, which is INSAT, which is a geostationary satellite and which is used for communication, television broadcasting, meteorological services. And the second one is Indian Remote Sensing Satellite, on which the question came. So prepare this part also. There might be a question on this. So IRS, I've already explained, monitoring and management of resources, groundwater resources, mineral exploration and disaster management. Now, one option was there, traffic management. Traffic management studies rely more on ground-based systems or GPS, right? We'll discuss GPS later in another video on PYQs. So it's not relying on IRS, hence it is not correct, right? So it's a basic reference material, the source of this thing, right? Also not exactly based on current affairs, because this is a basic thing which you read while you're studying ISRO and its satellites, right? Now, like I said, the value addition, that is when you are trying to relate other topics so that you can identify probable topics for your exam. You can study about space technology and satellites, role of ISRO in Indian satellite missions, differences between remote sensing and communication satellites. Also, with these, you need to know a little bit about the orbits in which they are placed and why. So the orbits and the reason why they are placed in those orbits. So the answer is A. Answer is A, that is 1, 2 and 3. Also, if you had only a little bit of idea and a little bit conceptual clarity about the topic, right? You could have guessed a little bit. That's not exactly guess, but it's a logical thinking that these two seems to be different from the above three. First thing is this. So a little bit of odd, from the other three topics. They stand out from the other three topics. So first thing is this. Secondly, telecommunications and remote sensing, they don't match together if you have the conceptual clarity. So elimination could have been used. Fourth could have been eliminated quite nicely. So fourth, so two options are gone, 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 3, right? So elimination in UPSC prelims examination works in this way, that many times if you are careful about the concepts, you can eliminate two statements or two options, right? Now After that, most probably you will be stuck in other two options, but that is still a better position rather than getting stuck in four options, right? So that increases your probability to 50-50 of getting a correct answer.